Hello, everybody. Welcome to Talk About House. I'm Todd.
I'm Juana.
Okay, today we are going to talk about this proposal for $25,000 down payment assistance for first-time home buyers. It's from an article that came out. You can Google it. It's one of the proposals coming out of one of the presidential candidates. We're not talking about the politics of it. We're going to talk about the economics, just the economics of it, because that's what we do. We talk about housing. The show's about real estate and housing. There's a thing at the bottom that says some experts say the Democratic presidential nominee's plan will only make the affordable housing crisis worse, while others say they like the idea on its surface. So, Juan, let's just talk about in general what is what's a first-time home buyer? And what is down payment assistance? Let's just talk about, we'll set the basis with those and we'll start talking about the effects. So what is down payment assistance? And then what define first-time home buyer?
So down payment assistance is somebody giving somebody else money, right? For a down payment on a house. Yep. What is a first-time home buyer? That is a really interesting question, because on the surface you think it's a first-time home buyer, right? First time ever. Not so fast. That's not what it is. A first-time home buyer is whatever they say that is. So, for example, in Nevada, we do have down payment assistance from the state of Nevada. And for Nevada, a first-time home buyer is someone who has not owned a primary residence for the last 3 years. Now, does that sound like a first-time home buyer to you? Probably not the way you thought about it. So, in Nevada, it's for the last 3 years. What this is going to look like, we don't know.
Yep. Okay, here is the first quote from the article. Okay, while Biden's plan for May called on Congress to provide $25,000 for some 400,000 first-generation home buyers, Harris wants to offer an average of $25,000 assistance to all first-time home buyers in the country, which the Democrat presidential nominee said would be provided to more than 4 million people over 4 years. If she were to occupy the Oval Office. So we're talking, we'll just put these numbers out here. So 4 million people over 4 years is about $1 million a year, right?
Okay, so the first question I have is, do we have an oversupply of homes that we need to subsidize people purchasing homes?
Well, there are people who are going to argue that in like 3 markets, because the Crash Bros came out after one of our videos, go, oh, but Todd, in Miami, Austin, and some other market, there's an oversupply of house. Like, it's over the average finally. Like, after years of being under, it's over the average. And I'm like, there's like 322 housing markets in the U.S. So you pick 3 of them where there's like too many homes. So maybe in those 3 markets, this would help.
Well, so those 3 markets do not have an oversupply of homes. An oversupply of homes means that you've got at least 9 to 12 months of inventory.
Okay. There's 0 markets.
They don't have 9 to 12 months of inventory. So, I would agree, okay, let's go ahead and support those markets. So if a market has more than 12 months of inventory, then maybe that market should qualify. But the rest of the markets, not so much.
So here's the thing though, if you limit this thing down to, if you get too granular on you have to be in a certain market, and then it takes the number of people down to like a very small number. And then as you start saying, first-time home buyer means ever, and then you go down, you may only get like 5,000 people in the country that really qualify. I mean, you may not actually get, because that's what happened with this. There was a thing a long time ago where the government gave $5 billion to airlines, but then it turned out only 2 airlines qualify. They were small airlines. They didn't hardly take any of the money. And of this $5 billion, no one actually got any of them. Like the big airlines, no one got any of the money.
Right, but that doesn't mean that your tax dollars weren't spent. That's another story.
Okay, so here's a question I have for you. How many homes were sold in the last year in the U.S. roughly?
So let's say 900,000.
No, it's about 4 million.
Okay, I'm sorry. I thought you were talking about new homes.
No,
I'm sorry.
It's homes. This is just for homes.
All homes. Okay. So
this isn't for new homes. This is for all homes.
Okay, all homes. So let's say 4 million.
4 million. Okay, so 4 million, and if we have 1 million people a year getting $25,000, talk about some of the what that might look like.
Okay, so we've all agreed, by and large, that we have a shortage of homes, right?
Okay.
So, I would like to know how this incentive creates land for builders to build on, creates capacity for builders to build. So what I mean by that is labor, material, land, permits, everything that goes with building, right? I'd like to know how that creates that, because you might incentivize people by giving them free money, which we know that there's no such thing as free money. You and I pay for that. But you might incentivize people in that way, but that doesn't necessarily create the inventory. So I'm not sure that this is solving a problem. Now, if you are giving people this money to ostensibly buy new homes, that means that you're maybe incentivizing people that otherwise weren't looking for a home to now look for a home, and now they're competing with the rest of the buyers who also aren't finding homes. So what does that do to supply and demand? Now you have more people chasing still fewer homes.
Yep.
So what does that do to home prices? So now that $25,000 really doesn't have any purchasing power, because home prices go up because you've got so many people chasing homes. Not only that, but depending on the market that you're in, well, that's not even a drop in the bucket, right? So if you're in a hot market, that's not going to make a whole lot of difference. I mean, maybe $25,000 might make a difference in a small market where there's not a lot going on, but in most metro markets, that $25,000 does not make the difference between somebody being able to purchase a home and not being able to purchase a home.
Okay, so here's this appeared on X, also formerly known as the social network formerly known as Twitter.
Yes.
Okay. This was a tweet from Whole Mars Catalog, which is a parody, or it's not a person, it's just a thing. And they're actually in the Bay Area, and they have something to do. It might even actually be a fake Elon account. But anyway, it says, won't that just increase the price of all homes by $25,000 while also increasing the deficit? And then Elon Musk quote tweeted it with, yes. Let's talk about the economic effects of this. I live in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, and I just bought a house 5 years ago. I put, but now I got married, I had a couple kids, and now I want to buy another house. And I'm going to go out there and I bought a $200,000 house. And I want to sell it and go buy a $400,000 house. So I go out there and I hire an agent, and I'm now looking for houses. And I go and I see this $400,000 house I like, and I go and submit an offer, and I find out that there's 4 offers on the property, and 3 of the other offers all have this $250,000 or $25,000 bonus, like they have extra money in the game, and so I'm competing against them. So while maybe they're going to be, first of all, there's going to be some people who have like a benefit there, because they'll say, well, look, we're getting this $25,000 credit, maybe we'll offer $415,000, because 15 of that will come from the credit, and the other 10 we'll use to like reduce how much our loan is going to be, and we'll still do that, right? So first of all, isn't that unfair to everyone else who's not a first-time home buyer trying to buy a house?
I mean, without getting political, tax policy is unfair.
Okay. But it basically, you're picking people. Oh, if you didn't, like, you could just argue, well, because I think the problem is people are saying, you know what, homes are too expensive and I can't buy a house. Oh, hey, we'll help you out by giving you a bunch of money to go buy a house. And then you push more people into the funnel where you don't have enough houses.
Well, to me, this is like the stimulus money that went out when it was no longer needed. It caused massive inflation. It's doing the same thing to housing.
Okay, here's another thing. Economically speaking, if you're a seller selling a $400,000 house, and you all of a sudden get a bunch of offers from people, and let's say 400 is the market value, don't you just say, you know what, I see all these tax credit things for $25,000, I'm just going to charge $425,000. I counter everyone back at $425,000, and somebody goes, fine, we'll just use the $25,000 to just buy the house and beat the other people. And the seller actually puts all this money in their pocket, and the home owner is effectively paying for their own $25,000 through the loan over the course of the loan.
Right. So, I mean, I think you hit the nail on the head that now you've got more buyers chasing fewer homes, and that's why you've got multiple offers, and that's why the seller can demand more money for the house than maybe the house would have otherwise been worth, because now people have this extra money to spend on the house.
What about the economic argument that if we pushed more money into home buying, home builders would see this and go, oh my gosh, look at these people are trying to buy homes. Let's go build more affordable housing, lower end homes, like first time home buyers for people, so we can get that $25,000 tax credit from them or tax assistance from them.
So this goes back to what I said at the beginning, that builders have a certain amount of capacity, they have a certain amount of profit margin that they have to make. Land, well, I've got a news flash, they're not making any more land.
No, they stopped making it like in a couple years ago.
So land, so there's scarcity of land, there's scarcity of material, right? Because there's only so much material that you can get your hands on, and it just, the more material is being purchased, the higher the cost is going to be, because again, you've got supply and demand. And then of course you've got labor. I think we can't underestimate the amount of building that is constrained by labor, because we've talked about this before. The average construction person on a residential property is in their 50s. These people are getting ready to retire, and we're not really replacing them with new young people. Young people are not going into the trades, and so this is a major issue. And so of course the less people you have in the trades, the more labor becomes a commodity, becomes more expensive. It takes longer to build homes because you have less people building homes. If you've seen new home constructions, you've got these crews that literally go from builder to builder. So you've got, like, the electrician will come on Tuesday and he won't come again until next Tuesday. And so if you've got something else that needs electrical, too bad, it'll have to wait until next Tuesday. And so they're going from builder to builder, from job site to job site. So because it used to be that builders had their own crews, they don't. They sub this out. So, and then the subs have limited labor.
Why do they do that?
So that's a great question. So the reason builders have done that is to really pare down on their costs, right? So that they're controlling their costs, because they don't have these employees anymore. They have these contractors, and then they're paying the contractors on a piecemeal. So now they don't have benefits. They don't have other expenses. So it makes sense, because remember, builders are in the business of making money. So it's not that builders couldn't build more homes, it's that they figured out where the sweet spot is for building homes, and this is where it's most profitable. And as far as building a certain price point of home, again, it's the same situation. Builders will build the price point of home that they can sell and maximize profit. So if the price point is X, that's what they will build. They will not build a lower price point if that's not as profitable. It doesn't make sense. I mean, if you worked for your employer and another employer comes along and says, hey, come work for me for less money, you'd say, that's really nice, but I'm happy over here where I'm making more money, right? It's the same thing with the builders. They're happy over here where they're making more money. They're not going to go build homes where they're going to make less money. It doesn't make sense.
Here's another quote from the article. Now, the article was critical, but honestly, I couldn't find any articles that thought this was a good deal, because every article that I read, even though it said, oh, this would be great for, first-time home buyer, it literally also, it raised all these other economic points. So we're not talking about the policy aspect or why this was proposed. We're just talking about how this actually will affect the housing market.
Right. So, I don't see this having a positive effect on either buyers or the housing market. And the reason I'm not so thrilled for sellers either, because sellers generally are also buyers. So this isn't helping them either. Okay. I mean, maybe it's helping them in the short term, because they'll put a few extra dollars in their pocket. But in the long term, they're going to be chasing homes with everybody else, and they're going to spend the money on the other end, so it doesn't really do anything. Now, this is not part of inflation as far as home prices going up. Remember that, because homes are not considered in the CPI, because homes are an investment. However, this is a big however, in creating all this demand, remember I said back about labor and material and that sort of thing. Now, the material is part of inflation, right? So if you're having to pay more for your lumber, for all sorts of materials, then that is part of inflation. And inflation invariably makes its way into everybody's pocketbooks. So understand that not only does this impact your pocketbook as far as inflation, it also impacts your pocketbook as far as what the government spends, because when the government gives someone money, they're giving someone your money, and you're the one that's got to pay this bill. So this is very concerning to me, because I also happen to pay taxes. And so that just means that money has to come from us, right? Because we're the ones who pay the bill. So that's a concern to me. Inflation's a concern, taxation's a concern, And I don't see this benefiting buyers, sellers, builders, or anyone else.
Okay, here's a quote. With taxation in mind, this plan would just further inflate the real estate market, put the U.S. further into a financial deficit, and ultimately be another reason for the government to increase taxes. 4 million people getting $25,000 is $100 billion.
Oh, but that's not the best part.
Oh, what's the best part?
In order to get this money, you have to have a bureaucracy to administrate it.
Okay, so that is true. There would probably be HUD or some development, probably HUD, would have to hire, there would have to be a lot of extra bureaucracy.
Which is more money.
You'd have to fill out paperwork, someone would have to review it, they'd have to wire funds. It's probably a lot of people.
So that's just more money that it costs to administer this program. That again inflates the cost to have this program. And at the end of the day, the cost is borne by all of us because we all pay taxes.
Yeah, so I personally don't like it. But the reason I don't like it is because it's another artificial thing. Real estate should be, there should be supply and demand factors, and now we're taking a problem that we have, which is we don't have enough supply. And when I say supply, I don't mean homes listed in the MLS. The supply of homes is the total number of homes available in the U.S. And then you have a huge segment of those that are locked up. Right? They're locked up by people who either own them free and clear or have under 4% interest rate who are never selling them. They're like, oh my gosh, this is a gold mine. I'm never selling this house. I'll rent it out, but I'll never sell it because my acquisition cost was low. And then you have people who have to move, divorce, people that are, some people that die, their heirs will sell, others won't. But you have some that are transacting. But like you said, Juana, if I sell my house and I go, ooh, goody, I got $25,000 more for the house because all these people were competing, and then I go to buy my $700,000 house, but it's some airline pilot, right, who's 28 years old, who now makes $300,000 a year, who's also getting $25,000. Now they could income qualify it and say, oh, well, you got to make it under a certain income. Well, remember, this is just going to cut down the number of people that can get the house, because if your income's not high enough, there'll be a price limit to where if they say you have to make less than $50,000 a year, you forget San Diego. You're not buying a house.
Forget most places, and here's the problem with that income qualification, right? That now you're restricting people to just the bottom of the market, and then that bottom of the market is competing with who? They're competing with cash buyers. Yeah. So this isn't really helping them anyway. So this is very complicated. My solution to the housing shortage is actually much more simple and much more cost effective. It doesn't involve taxation. It doesn't involve picking winners and losers. It simply says, hey, let's just make it easier for builders to build. Pretty simple. Make it easier. So that means, cut the red tape with permits and cut the waiting times for permits. Make it easier to acquire land. So in places like Las Vegas, we have BLM land around us. So maybe release BLM land so that there is land on which to build. So there are all kinds of policy changes that can be changed or tweaked to facilitate existing business that doesn't involve any tax burden to any of us. It just involves looking at the policies that are in place and saying, hey, how can we make these policies more friendly toward allowing building that makes sense for our community? Because building doesn't make sense for every community and not in the same way. So this is the federal government trying to solve a local problem. And local people are in much better positions to solve those if they have the will to do it. Right, so like we always say, real estate is very local. So if you want to solve the real estate problem, you have to do it at the local level. You can't do it at the national level. National level is one size fits all. It's like me trying to wear a triple X, garment. It's not going to work. It's not one size fits all.
Right.
So it's the same thing with real estate. It is very local. So it is important that these issues be addressed at the local level.
Right.
I know this was kind of long. If you thought we were political.
We apologize.
We did not mean to be political. We simply meant to illuminate what the situation is and the true consequences of these types of policies. Leave us your real estate related comments. We appreciate them. Remember to like the video, subscribe, hit the notification bell, share the video, and we'll see you on the next video. Bye.
Bye.